You can ask yourself, is what I'm doing, is where I am, is my environment, is my interaction with my environment serving the pursuit of physical excellence, personal excellence, or professional excellence?
So I want to jump in. I'm going to jump right into content. I'm sure we'll get into the backstory because obviously you've overcome a ton. You've built some amazing businesses. All that's fantastic. But I think what's on everybody's mind is, what is a millionaire mindset?
Oh, millionaire mindset. I think that's looking at your bank account and just having like fat stacks of cash and be like, sweet, I feel good. I feel good today. No, that's not it at all, actually. In fact, it's what precedes that, I would argue. And basically, I think it comes down to fundamentally reworking in our mind how we get compensated in the world. A lot of people, like we have all this emotional attachment to money, right?
Sure.
So I would say, first of all, a millionaire mindset is very objective and non-emotional about money. And it's not even just money. Like, money is one form of currency in which, frankly, being a millionaire or wealth or value, I mean, it's one form of currency that it shows up as, is the dollar or the pound or whatever country you live in. But it's like, you have to have a little more holistic view. You have to get super objectively neutral about it. And you have to realize your wealth, your economic station, your position in society, pretty much your entire life, is a highly democratic assessment and reflection of your perceived value in the world.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a really, really high perceived value in the world, it's almost impossible to have a very low net worth.
Yeah.
Because like, you get paid just for walking in a room. Like Kim Kardashian, I'm not going to take a personal shot at her. I don't know if she's particularly intelligent. Yeah. I think it's, some people think she's beautiful and some people don't think she is, but bottom line,
a brilliant business person for sure.
Yeah, she is. But the fact is, she literally gets paid to show up places.
Yeah.
Like there's clubs in Vegas that will literally pay her like $1 million or $500,000 or whatever to like just pop in for a few hours.
Yeah.
She has a very high perceived value in the world, and it would be impossible for her not make money because she can literally just show up places and get paid, right? And whereas at the same time, that's a rare case. What's much more common is people that are like, well, I work so hard and I try so hard and I do so much and I care so much and I give so much, and yet I'm broke.
Yeah.
Well, the market is democratically telling you that the consensus is not in alignment with what you think.
Yeah.
You think you've got all this value. The market doesn't agree.
Yeah.
And when you get objectively neutral about that, the millionaire mindset says, okay, if I want more, how do I restructure and re-architect and, rejigger my relationship to the market?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, tell me this. All right. So you and I have similar, obviously, overcoming stories in that we had major life adversity get in front of us. Right. Obviously, you're started with being a professional pianist and then not being able to use your hand, and that sending you down one rabbit hole, and then starting an entrepreneurial ventures. Like, I think there's something special about this overcoming adversity piece and how that plays into developing a millionaire mindset. Mm-hmm. And I think that comes into the ability or the inability to refuse to settle. Right.
Yeah. I mean, and I've done, I don't know how many episodes of your show you've done. I think I'm up around 130, 140 of my show. I've literally, and just so you know, my team, they go out online and they find folks like yourself. They find really successful entrepreneurs who seem to be putting a lot of good value into the world. Yeah. And that's all we know about them. We don't know where they grew up, how they grew up, if they were rich or poor, or, happy, sad, blue, black, white, yellow, purple. We don't know anything. All we know is, I guess we know their skin color because we usually see them, but like, all we know is successful person putting value into the world. Come on the show. Let's talk about it. So to a person, no one has ever come on the show who didn't have a significant, somewhere between significant and like completely insane story of overcoming adversity. I don't think there are really successful people who didn't overcome adversity, which the flip side of that is, if you're having adversity, congratulations, you're checking one of the boxes for becoming really successful.
I never thought about it that way, but I love that. Absolutely.
I think it's true. I think it's a universal law at this point.
Yeah. Well, to pivot on that, I think, kind of a little epiphany I just had, it sounds like the ultimate step in developing a millionaire mindset, or what I refer to as a high impact mindset,
Yeah.
is overcoming you. The person that you look in the mirror, the things that you tell yourself every day, the things that you believe, the things that you read, where you spend your quote unquote quality time. Are you finding that to be the case? I mean, you've interviewed some amazing entrepreneurs, also being in that crowd yourself. I mean, what have you seen?
I mean, I got nothing to add. Honestly, you nailed it. My favorite quote. If you go look at my Instagram, and I'm kind of big on Instagram right now. It just so happens last night I passed 100,000 Instagram followers.
Congratulations, my buddy.
Thank you, thank you. It's exciting. I started my Instagram 28 months ago, September of 2018. I've put out 1,400. I think as of this morning, 1,402 Instagram posts.
Wow.
I'm very busy.
Yeah.
The reason I say that is I think there's maybe 2 or 3 posts that I've ever made that were somebody else's quotes. Everything else is content that is original content I create.
Yeah.
The very first post I ever made on my Instagram in this push was a Jim Rohn quote that says, "Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better."
Oh, it's so good. That is so good.
It's the only, like, it's almost a point of pride. Like, I don't make quote cards from other people. I create my own content, but that one, I will never say anything in my life better than that. So I started there.
I love it. I love it. And that's so good. And I love Jim Rohn stuff too, man.
Yeah.
I really do.
So good.
Well, check this out. So we're in this mindset space, right? We're in the space of, you want something better for yourself, get out of your own way. Here's a mental switch. Let's make it happen. Now, one of my favorite pieces of content, one of my favorite things that you put out into the world is something called the 3 Ps of excellence. Break down the 3 Ps of excellence, because I think it's amazing and everybody needs to hear it.
Yeah. So, and first I'll back it up a little bit with like how and why I came up with it. You know, there's a million great frameworks. You know, Tony Robbins has the Wheel of Life. Maslow has the hierarchy of needs. You know, Adler has the 3 drivers of personality. Like, there's a lot of good ones. I'm a simple man. It needs to be really easy for me to remember, or what I find is, like, I could maybe sit here in this conversation and recall something that sounded smart, but in the moment when the SHIT hits the fan and the bullets are flying and I'm in the trench and life is crazy, as human beings, it's hard to recall intellectually complex things. In fact, most of what we can recall in that situation is just like hit something, hide, duck, run, like very basic Neanderthal level commands, right? So for me to have a framework for life that would actually serve me in the moments when I needed it the most, I had to make it like stupidly simple. And life is hard. So think about this. When life is hard, you already can think, I need to pee-pee because I'm scared. Just add a P, PPP, right? Physical, personal, professional. And that'll serve you in all times. It's easy to access. It's what we call a heuristic, right? Physical, personal, professional. And that's it. Just at every moment of every day, every waking, even sleeping moments, you can ask yourself, is what I'm doing, is where I am, is my environment, is my interaction with my environment serving the pursuit of physical excellence, personal excellence, or professional excellence? If yes, keep going. If no, do something different.
Yeah. We can add the fourth P, pivot.
Yeah, exactly. If not P, 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 then P.
Yeah. Well, so how have you managed to put those things into practice on a day in and out basis? I mean, give us an idea of kind of what your personal routine is.
I'm so glad you asked. And for somebody that wants like proof of this, like video documented proof, I started a vlog a few weeks ago and it's on my YouTube channel. It's called The Life of an Entrepreneur. And here's the thing. I lead an entrepreneurial education company. I'm the figurehead. I'm the evangelist. I'm the voice. And I'm sure you experience this too with your community. When you start going out to the market and talking about this stuff, either you live it or you're a hypocrite, right? Yeah. So I love it, man. I espouse the 3 Ps. So like 1,402 times in 28 months on Instagram. Like I say, I produce so much content around this that it's like, if I'm not living it, if I'm not the best student of my own teaching, then I'm a hypocrite. So I said, well, okay, well, I need to, again, because I'm not that smart, especially on the fly and in the moment, I just need to decide now, like on a Sunday, what Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday are going to look like, right? And ideally, I want to reduce the number of decisions I have to make in my life. So I'd like to decide one time what my schedule needs to be as close as possible for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I came up with a schedule. It's the current schedule that I run. I'm not saying that every 3 to 6 months I don't evaluate it and say, oh, maybe I can tweak it here, tweak it there. But it's like farming. You have to plan it out really far in advance if you want to get the end result. So I get up at 3:30. I'm at the gym by 4:30.
Yep.
By 5:30, I'm done at the gym. There's my physical, right? And I even make sure that hour includes, I do like rolling, I do stretching, I do resistance. I make sure my heart rate goes up. I kind of try to check all the boxes there. And between 3:30 and 4:30 even, I listen to an audiobook.
Yep.
I do a little bit of like centering and meditation or at least some breathing, So I'm kind of checking the full range of physical boxes by 5:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Then I go straight to my office, which is 5 minutes from the gym. And from roughly about 5:40 to 6:40,
Mm-hmm.
I play the piano.
Oh, okay.
That's just a very personally enriching and fulfilling, expressive thing for me that frankly, it's physical in nature. It's also personal and spiritual in nature. So that's a really key box for me to check. Then by 6:40, I go home. I'm home by 6:50. I pick up my daughter. I take her to school. And from 6:50 to 8 a.m., I'm with my kids.
Love it.
I'm checking the personal box, right? So by 8 a.m., I've checked the physical and personal boxes on multiple facets, right? And that gives me 8, 10, like today it's going to be 12 hours. I have a meeting until 8 p.m. tonight. So that's 10, 12 hours that I can use because let's face it, the professional bucket, when you're building, requires the most attention, the most energy.
Yeah.
And so I have the space to give that everything I need. And usually I'm home by 6 or 7 and I have some more personal time with my family.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm good. And I just live that 5 days a week. I have a modified version on Saturday. Sunday, I'm pretty flexible. But, if you start with the end in mind and build a schedule that doesn't allow for deviation,
Mm-hmm.
Unless you got to travel or something, compound it over time, you'll get a lot better results and you'll have a lot more mental energy to put on what you're doing within those spaces rather than what you're going to do next.
Yeah.
And that reduces decision fatigue, increases focus, and it compounds exponentially.
I love it. In fact, it kind of drums up something. So what I'm actually hearing you say in our vernacular would say, I start off by living by my principles, meaning my principles already make my choice for me.
Yes.
So if I'm going to be wise financially, then I need to make wise decisions financially, which means when I'm given an opportunity to do something stupid, I choose not to, right?
Yeah.
And one of the questions I get, and I'm sure I know you got this because I get it from entrepreneurs, I get it from people that are still working their day-to-day jobs all the time, is how do I break a bad habit? I'm like, apply a principle. Like, the bad habit is telling you even what principle to look at. It's the polar opposite of the habit, right? So if you're not working out, you're not staying healthy, you don't have a routine in place or a ritual or whatever vernacular you want to use, then the first thing you need to do is I need a structure. I need a structure that holds me accountable, right?
Yeah, and you said it. You need a structure, and I would extend that to say the way you break a bad habit is to use structure to make it impossible.
I like it.
So let's say, for example, that you tend to spend a lot of extra money on shopping, buying clothes or something, right? I use profit first accounting in my business, in my personal life. Every dollar that comes into my personal world, 40% of it goes to savings and investments. 40% of it goes to automated escrow for taxes. So at the end of the year, it's either covered or I might get something back. Actually, every quarterly it pays estimated. 20% goes to my living. So I live off of 1/5 of what I make.
Yeah.
And that 20%, even from there, a certain amount of it, I automatically pay to my wife. A certain amount of it, I automatically pay into a savings account for my kids. I drain the swamp before I can get stuck in it.
Yeah.
And that happens automatically before I ever even get to make a decision. So I don't even have an opportunity to have a bad financial habit.
Yeah, but you did make a decision early on saying, I'm going to put a reinforceable routine to take stupidity out of it.
Yeah, exactly. And I say it all the time, and I'm half joking, but I'm also half deadly serious. I'm a degenerate. I'm a loser. I'm lazy AF if left to my own human devices.
I like the if.
But I'm very intentional about buffering myself from myself by creating systems and processes that don't allow me to be my worst self and only allow me to be my best self.
And therein key lies the millionaire mindset and the excellence.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
because
it's
the willpower is not, I mean, if willpower was enough, we'd have a very different world.
oh, no doubt, no doubt, no doubt. Well, look, for people who are listening are like, okay, so the guy's got he got multi-million dollar businesses. He's got it all figured out. He's working the 12-hour days, which by the way, just a side note, that is the entrepreneurial journey. Entrepreneurs that think they can just work 3 or 4 hours a day. I'm sorry, it does not work that way. At least not for a long time until you can get to some serious scale.
Yeah, until you can transition into solely being an investor
Yeah.
and not a business owner, then yes, I would agree with you.
Problem with entrepreneurs is there's always a new business for them to invent. At least that's been my my Achilles heel.
Yeah, I mean, that's, at some point, like, for me, could I transition and just be an investor? Yes.
Yeah.
Would I have had the impact in the world that I want to have? No. So it's not yet an option for me.
Yeah.
And by the way, one of the reasons I produce so much social content, I have been calling my shot from day one.
Mm-hmm.
I have a shirt that says billionaire in the making.
Yeah.
And I wear that shirt to the gym. Now, what does that mean exactly? I don't know. Aim for the stars, you land, or aim for the moon, you land among stars, whatever. Like, it's not about the dollar amount, but I have put things in motion in my life. I have called my shot from the beginning, at least since I kind of figured this out, that stopping makes me a hypocrite. And the commitment and consistency principle, which is one of the 6 principles of persuasion that we use in sales with other people all the time, it also applies to ourselves.
Yeah.
We don't like to make a commitment and not follow through when it's public.
Yeah.
If you want to quit smoking, go change your Facebook status and say, hey, just smoked my last cigarette.
Mm-hmm.
And then if somebody sees you smoking, they know you went back on your word, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Keeping the promises you make to yourself. I heard somebody say one time.
Yeah. And the way you do that is you let everybody else know about the promise you made to yourself.
That's so good. I love that. I want to pivot for just a second.
Okay.
I want to talk to the Jeff Lerner that did have to fight back. I want to talk to that guy for just a second, right? Clearly, you've gained a lot of wisdom and insight and experience from having to fight back, as we all do, like we talked about earlier. A lot of our listeners are in that phase of life. It covers everything from entrepreneurs to marketers, all the way down to people who are working at Taco Bell, right? We have the entire gambit. Listen,
right.
75% of them, over 70% of them would say that they're trying to figure out how to dig out of a hole of some kind. I'd like to talk to the Jeff Lerner that dug out of a hole and what it takes to dig out of a hole and then begin to build. What would you say to Jeff Lerner several years ago?
Yeah. So I'll say a few things. One is, I don't think for me, and this might just be because I'm wired like an entrepreneur, the best version of me in many ways is the guy digging out of the hole.
Yeah, for sure.
And so when I get out of the hole, I got to go find a bigger hole. As silly as that sounds. I mean, 2 years ago, when I started Entre, 2.5 years ago, I was a 39-year-old dad, 4 kids, live in a small town in Utah. And I declared, for the business that I want to go build now and the impact I want to have in this world, I need to become, among many things, I need to become a social media influencer. Yeah. I had no social media presence.
Yeah, sure.
My kids were like, Dad, seriously? Like, what do you want to be like? What's that guy, David Dobrik or something? Like, no, I'm like, no, I'm not going to make funny videos and I'm going to produce business and entrepreneurial content, which is actually a lot harder to get traction with.
It is, yeah.
But I'm going to be an influencer. A lot of guys say, oh, I want to put some content out there, and they make 10 videos and they go, oh, this is hard. Yeah. I shot 400 videos in my first year.
Wow.
And they weren't all just stuff I made up on the spot. Some of them were planned. They all had topics and focuses. Yeah. I'm probably at 2,000 now in 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And admittedly now we repurpose and we I have a team, so we can be a lot more fertile. But so I like that feeling of digging out of the hole. So I think the first thing is actually it's like we started by saying, like, when you're in the hole, when you're overcoming adversity, realize you have an asset. Mm-hmm. You have not only one of the prerequisites for success already checked, but you're going to have a story.
Yeah.
Your mess is going to become your message, and you are going to ride that story. Look, I have been the broke, nearly homeless piano player who paid off $500,000 in debt back in 2009 and 10. I have been that guy for 12 years now.
Yeah.
And I'm still that guy. I'm still riding that story.
Yeah.
your adversity, that hole is going to be your story. So don't hate the hole.
Yeah.
And just recognize that like you said, 75% of your audience is in a hole. That's a pretty representative audience. 75%, at least 75% of the world is in a hole.
67%.
Most people don't get out of a hole.
67%. Time Magazine, Harris Poll. I've done it. They've done it several times, and almost every time it comes back 67, 70, 67, 70. So that means 3/4 of the population have unachieved dreams, have aspirations they don't know how to obtain. And what they don't understand is what you've basically been talking about, even from going from, what's the difference between a millionaire and a billionaire? Nothing more than the way they think.
Yeah.
Right?
And who you surround yourself by,
Yeah.
what you say yes to and what you say no to. So it's interesting. You said that number 67 to 70. So 69% of the developed world, never mind the third world, the underdeveloped world, the developed world, 69% will never actually be able to stop working for money.
Wow.
They have no retirement. Even if they retire, they're going to be working at the golf shop. They're going to be greeting at Walmart. They're going to be doing something. They're just never going to be able to be like, okay, I'm good. I can live off the interest.
But there's a difference between working for necessity and working out of love, right? So I'm a big believer in do what you must to then get to do what you want, but you can't take your eyes off of where you're going. Steve Meyer told me, obviously, I talked last time on your show, which was amazing, by the way. When that conversation, one of the first thing that Steve taught me was, look, it's important to remember where you come from, but you cannot lose sight of where you want to go. You cannot do that. Otherwise, you end up in stagnation. The reason that we're able to go out and serve the world and try to do great things and is because our heart is behind creating a legacy that outlives us, right? So in that whole thing, how do you help someone who goes, well, you don't understand my backstory, or you don't understand how deep my hole is, or you don't understand this relationship? Like, how do you coach them out of that place? Because I know that's one of the most difficult things to do oftentimes.
You honestly, you have to be great at something.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of a harsh, tough love perspective. And that's probably one of the things that sets my company apart from other entrepreneurial online education is like, I'm not promising get rich quick. I'm actually of the mind that you shouldn't want to get rich quick because you haven't earned it. You don't deserve it, which means even if it happened, you wouldn't keep it.
Yeah.
You should want it to be hard. Just like you should want weights to be heavy if you want to get strong.
That's so good. Yeah.
And the tough love piece is there's only two kinds of people in this world in every aspect. There's excellent and there's average.
Yeah.
Average is everyone else. There's nothing wrong with average. Their moms still love their average kids, but they're not great at anything and they're not going to be wildly successful in this world. You got to pick something and be great at it. For me, there was a time it was music. Now, did music make me rich? No. But did music get me the opportunity to go play in the homes of billionaires who hired me for private parties out of the tens of thousands of musicians in Houston? Why was I the one who got to go into their home and play the piano? Because I was a really good piano player. I dressed well. I cut my hair. I didn't stink like cigarette smoke. I showed up on time. I had equipment that worked. They didn't think I was going to steal anything from their beautiful homes where even the coasters are worth $5,000. I worked at being excellent as a private party piano player. Yeah. That got me FaceTime with Tillman Fertitta. That got me FaceTime with Charles Butt, the founder of H-E-B grocery store. That got me FaceTime with Bob McNair, the owner of the Houston Texans. And I got to ask billionaires, how'd you do it, man? Like, do you mind telling me your story? And I took notes, and that went up here. And 10 years later, I finally had an opportunity to implement what I learned from them. Somehow it always comes down to being excellent. There's 99.99% of the piano players in Houston, Texas never got to play those gigs.
Absolutely. No, and I believe there's excellence in everyone. I mean, I think far too many people are hung up in that comparison zone where they're trying to compare the life that they don't have with the life that they do, not realizing that the life that they have is a stepping stone. It's the acorn that turns into an oak tree kind of thing. There's people that are attorneys that should be painters and painters that should be attorneys. And I don't think anyone really takes the time to do a complete self-assessment of who they are and what strengths that they have that could amplify so they could become excellent at something.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I could, my strengths assessment, my honest self-assessment told me I shouldn't pick basketball as my thing.
Yeah.
But if I had picked basketball as my thing, it would have led me, even though it wouldn't have led me to play in the NBA with Michael Jordan, it would have led me to some success. I might have ended up as a college coach.
Yeah.
But the point is to just go all in,
Just do it.
batshit crazy, balls to the wall, Looney Tunes, obsession with excellence at whatever you think is your best shot. And here, like, look, if I'm wrong, you're still going to be better off for taking this advice.
You still be further along. Yeah.
What else are you going to focus on, right?
Yeah.
With your time, just like doing a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
How's
Social
that working
media
for you?
and video games and, you know.
Yeah, just pick the thing you think you have the best shot at being excellent at and work on being excellent at it and see what happens.
Yeah. And I think that that's a great idea too. And, you know, to those who don't understand or don't have any clue what they might be excellent at, because I feel like you and I think we all share one commonality with humanity. And that is we don't know what we're excellent at because we're so good at it. It's automatic to us. Right.
Yes.
So we're not thinking about it. Go to your mom, go to your dad, go to your spouse, go to your best friend from high school or whatever, and say, hey, what do I do so well that I don't even see it? Right. Yeah. My kid can talk. I got one kid that's like a totally logical thinker. Dude can like, he's all up in like details. Details drive me nuts. I'm an entrepreneur, right? I got another son who is literally, he can talk to anybody. I'm like, hello, sales.
Yeah.
Right. Hello, speaking. Hello. You know what I'm saying? That's a technique that I find that a lot of people use. And I saw you do the whole like, yeah, kind of thing.
Yes.
So hit on it from your perspective.
Yeah. Well, it's just so true. You know, one of the things I teach in our company is called the knowledge business, which is about essentially how to build a business out of what you know.
Yeah.
Which is all I've done.
Yeah.
And one of the exercises we take people through is figuring out what they're so good at that they don't realize because it comes naturally to them, and then helping them understand the value that the majority of the world finds that a pain point.
Yeah.
And so many people, like I have a woman in our mastermind, for example, who homeschooled, I think 4 or 5 kids, can't remember. She homeschooled them. She has like a dentist and a doctor and an attorney and an engineer and so all these wildly successful kids that she homeschooled.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, do you realize how rare and how many homeschool parents there are that are at home worried about their outcome of their children and frankly struggling and frustrated? And even if they're actually doing a good job, they don't feel like they're doing a good job. And to be able to connect to someone who can say, I did this, I had a really nice time doing it, this is the outcome. And now she's building a curriculum around how to homeschool your kids and creating a community for that. And it's like, it's such a no-brainer. And by the way, she loves every step of the process because it is her natural strength.
Dude, that is so good. That is so good. You know, it's funny. I work sometimes with people who feel less than because they're a stay-at-home parent, male or female, doesn't matter. I'm a stay-at-home parent. No one really cares. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? You have complete access to the leader that is going to be in that home. You have direct access to doing it with excellence. That person might become the next president. They might become the next Michael Jordan. They might become the next Bill Gates or whatever person in which you admire. If you teach them how to love and character and stuff like that, I'm a big believer that one of the reasons that our world got so crazy over the last several decades is because unfortunately, no one told us it was okay for parents to take their hands off the wheel, right? Mm-hmm. We've got to be responsible for our homes and how we're driving that. And I see far too many people who aren't in a search for that excellence because they have this mentality of who they think they are, not realizing that who they really are is the solution to somebody else's problem. And then you get to scale that. You get rewarded with income.
Yeah. I mean, yes, 100 times yes. And getting, doing the work to be really clear on who you are versus who you're supposed to be, or who you think you're supposed to be, or who you feel less judged when you act as.
Yeah.
The ability to truly not give a crap what other people think is probably right up there with adversity as a prerequisite for entrepreneurial success. That's really hard work for a lot of people, and naturally gravitating towards your strength and just being willing to put your voice out there. We live in a world now where your competition isn't geography. Your limiting factor is not, oh, well, I live in the country and I want to sell pizza, but nobody lives within 10 miles of my shop. Like that used to be a challenge. Now that the internet rewrote those rules,
Yeah.
Now your problem is the inverse. It's noise.
Yeah.
It's the crowd. It's the low barrier to entry for someone else to try to get your customers' attention.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you just got to get really comfortable being out there and be yourself. Like, I don't have an impulse to do it right now,
Yeah.
but if it felt authentic for me right now to like pull my shirt over my head and like make squeaky sounds with my belly fat or something on your show, I'd probably get myself uninvited from your show ever again. Like, I would just do it. It's like, whatever your thing. I mean,
Value for that.
you know what I mean? Just like own who you are, follow your instincts, put your voice out there. Stop worrying what other people think. It's so painful. This insecurity and this fear of judgment is so painful.
Yeah. Well, and I believe that whole spirit of comparison is going to be that thing that is your main roadblock, especially in this day and age when, everybody has to realize that everybody's putting their best up on social media, like their best pictures, their best accolades, their best wins, all the best, because they want somebody else to like, share, comment, do all those types of things. Right. I don't know, man. I'm humbled and I'm enjoying this conversation so much. We could probably roll on for a couple hours. I'm going to pivot it because there's one more piece that I want to make sure we get to, that has, I know it played a huge role in changing your life, but is also something that you have a mastery level talent in, which is this concept of digital real estate. Break down digital real estate, why it's important, why it's effective, all that good stuff.
Yeah. So digital real estate, I say that word and people envision like a house, like it's a thing, it's a real estate thing. Digital real estate is a paradigm. It's a philosophy. It's a concept applied to the digital economy.
Mm-hmm.
And, in physical real estate, you don't have to apply this concept to real estate. This concept is real estate, which is owning assets that, the value of which is based on some sort of potential cash flow, or what they call net operating income, divided by your cap rate based on the location and other factors, right? That's how you value real estate. Or based on the potential cash flow of being able to sell the house based on residential consumer demand. Like, there's some math problem where people understand the value of real estate is based on its ability to convert into dollars.
Yep.
Coupled with the potential for long-term appreciation in the asset.
Yeah.
That is real estate. I don't have to say, oh, when you do real estate, think about it that way, because thinking about it that way is what real estate is. For some reason on the internet, all such very logical sound concepts go out the window and everybody's like, well, I don't want to build real business. I don't want to have to create assets. That all sounds too hard. I heard about this guy that I saw on Snapchat who put up a 30-second reel, or they don't have reels on Snapchat. I know that. Thank you. But like, who said, I made $500 yesterday on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Great. What was the asset? What did he build? What does he own? Yeah. Is it predictable? Is it duplicatable? Is it a continuity business? Is it going to happen again tomorrow? Is it going to happen again next month? Or did the guy just like crap out some stupid gimmick that happened to work one time and now he wants to charge you $47 to show you what he did?
Yeah.
We like, all digital real estate says is approach the digital economy using sound real estate principles. Real estate is the greatest wealth creation vehicle in the history of all civilization across centuries and millennia. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to go online, which is functionally just a new terrain, it's a new landscape, don't go approach new terrain without old principles of investing in real estate. And so if you're going to build something online, it needs to do two things. It needs to have some sort of predictable, forecastable cash flow that can be measured in present value to create a price or a cost. And it needs to have the potential to appreciate over time.
Yeah.
That's it. That's digital real estate.
And for those who listen and who aren't necessarily 100% familiar with some of the terms that we use in the entrepreneur world, appreciation assets is increasing value. That joker's gonna be worth more tomorrow than it is today.
Yeah, that's appreciation. And an asset is basically a thing that you could convert to money, to gold, to something else at some exchange rate.
That is nothing more than something of value, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I love it, man. Well, look,
so think about this though. Like, go look online, go Google how to make money online, and pull out 100 search results and run them through the filter of what I just said, where it's like, what's the promised cash flow, What's the predictability of that cash flow?
Yep.
What's the forecastability of that cash flow? And what's the underlying asset that I'm building?
Absolutely.
You'll find
Yeah.
about 99 out of 100 can't even answer those two questions.
For sure. Well, I mean, I've been trying to coach one of actually both my boys. They're a buddy of theirs in high school because they just graduated. They're going to college now. One of their buddies made 50 grand with Robinhood and the whole
GameStop or
whatever. So they immediately started buying stock. I was like, no. That's a rare occurrence. Slow and steady wins the race. Take your time. If you're going to invest wisely, because now you're on the backside, right? So now at some point in time, there's going to be a substantial correction, and that's going to be completely reversed. Well, not completely, but it'll be reversed at some level.
Yeah, I made a video a couple days after that whole thing happened where I said, look, here's what's really going on. I kind of explained the economics behind it. And people came on and said, oh, you must be in bed with the hedge funds because you're not like just totally pro, populist uprising, blah, blah, blah. And 6 days later, I made another comment that said, yo, I just read an article about a guy who killed himself because all of his GameStop stock fell 70% in 4 hours.
Oh, man.
And that's the one that I read about. There's 1,000 more. Like, this is not business. This is not investing. This is stupidity.
Yeah.
This is trying to use fear and greed to supposedly combat fear and greed.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And which is why I think it's so important for us to put content out in the world. People, not just us, but people like us who have some experience, know that slow and steady wins a race, knowing that you got to show up every day. You can't have the weekend at Bernie's vacation mentality in building a business, right? Or building a career for that matter, or leading well, or becoming a better parent, right? All of this comes down to one thing, which is intentionality, right? Every bit of this comes down to, you got to be intentional. You got to, you said it earlier, you got to determine what the end is, like where is it I'm trying to go? And then work yourself backwards, and I think far too many people are missing that concept.
Yeah. It's like, honestly, it's like Old Testament level values-based living. I mean, it's every time I go on an interview, by the way, I do the same thing. I have a note and I look at it multiple times a day, including when I'm on interviews, but I have this file saved in my notepad. It's on my phone. It's on every computer. It's everywhere I go.
Yeah.
That's just, what are my values?
Yeah.
I remind myself of my values multiple times a day. And just like the 3 Ps, if I can't define in any given moment what values are in play, and is what I'm doing consistent with my personal mission statement, which is demonstrating daily that we were created to pursue excellence and act with courage.
Yep.
I have my 10 values. I have my entrepreneurial or my business mission statement, empowering people to achieve physical, personal, and professional excellence through entrepreneurial education. I have my vision statement. Like, I have this world that I have created that you don't even have to know me to know me. You just have to read these like 14 statements.
Yeah.
And at every moment of your life, if those aren't in play, call it the devil, call it society, call it culture, call it whatever is in control.
Absolutely. And what you just described is nothing more than an ecosystem. If you think about, Apple, they got the Apple Watch, you got the Apple Mac computers, you got the Apple stinking mouse, right? You got Apple, right. Apple, right? Now you're in the ecosystem, right? What ecosystem are you creating for yourself?
Yeah.
Like there's 3 Ps you talked about, making sure that you're getting up every day. I mean, one of the things that, that I shared with you on one of our shows is that I choose to focus on one pillar of life every single day. Like during my time, my workout time, my audiobook time, my podcast time, all of that stuff to try to help me create momentum and move forward, for sure. Dude, I love hanging out with you. I do. We always have so much fun.
Yeah, I know. And it's funny. These conversations, like, people say, like, because I've been doing a lot, both hosting and guesting. Yeah. You get tired? Do you ever run out of stuff to talk about? Do you ever have like awkward pauses with your guests or with your hosts? Like, when you're in this world, when it consumes you at a DNA level, it's endless. It's endlessly productive of energy and creativity.
Yeah.
And all those sort of pedestrian concerns about, like, am I good enough? Am I smart enough? Am I creative enough? They go away, but you can't fake it. You live it or you aren't it.
I love it, dude. Well, look, we're basically out of time. I ran you a little long. I hope you're not mad at me. I know you got meetings the rest of
No,
the day.
I actually blocked off 10 more minutes, man. I'm here. Wait,
Oh, in that case, we might have to roll for another 5 or 10 minutes.
no, but whatever suits your format. I mean, I will go off. I turned almost 40. I was 39. I sold my agency and I said, okay, either I'm going to retire or I'm going to spend the rest of my life explaining to people how I got out of, my broke musician living in his ex-wife's parents, like that life. How did I get from that life to this life?
Yeah.
I'll spend the rest of my life evangelizing what happened and what the underlying principles are. And I opted to do that instead of retiring.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want me on for 6 hours, I'm here for 6 hours, whatever suits.
Well, that might test my wife's limits, but well, let me ask you this one final question, and then I got to tell everybody how to connect with you because I love your content. I love following you. I follow you on social, watch the YouTube channel. Everybody's got to kind of go connect over there for sure.
Thank you.
When it comes down to where we started with the millionaire mindset, right? Your podcast, YouTube channel, Millionaire Secrets. When it comes down to it, why did you choose with somebody who, like, so for example, one of the things I know about you is your heart's so big, you want to serve so much that, you could talk about a numerous amount of things. Why did you focus on Millionaire Secrets? Where'd the podcast name come from? Why did you decide to go that direction and towards the entrepreneurial side when there's also so much life content inside of you?
Yeah, because I'm a marketer, and as a marketer, that the best way to reach people is to give them what they want. Answer the question that they're already asking.
Yeah.
The reality is, being a millionaire, depending where you live in this world, is somewhere between okay and meaningless.
Yeah.
You live in San Francisco and you have a net worth of $1 million.
Yeah.
Great. Don't quit your day job.
Yeah.
And frankly, you live pretty much anywhere in the United States with a net worth of $1 million. Don't quit your day job.
Yeah.
You certainly can't retire.
Yeah.
I think depending where you live, minimum maybe 4 net worth. I mean, I talked to an attorney the other day. He's got a net worth of $2 million, and he's a member of my mastermind. Going, I can't retire.
No.
He lives in Florida.
Yeah.
Successful guy.
4.5 to 5 million to get to have an annual return of about 200K, which
is exactly. Which people say, I don't need 200K to live. Yeah, but you need to be able to live without depleting the principal. Yep. And you need to, as you get older, more unexpected things happen.
Yeah.
Health problems, problems with family members. If your grandson or granddaughter gets hooked on opioids, don't you want to be the grandparent that can send them to rehab, or do you just want to be impotent and watch them die?
Yeah.
Well, that's $100,000. Was that in your budget?
No,
it's not going to. The insurance probably ain't going to cover it. You know, I mean, it's like life gets harder, and you need more resources. And so, when I picked the term Millionaire Secrets, it's ironic because I don't even think being a millionaire is like in 2021. That's not the goal.
Yeah.
But who wants to be a millionaire? And Grant Cardone has his millionaire booklet, and Slumdog Millionaire. And this term millionaire is still an iconic, gravitas possessing term in society. And if I want to meet people where they are by talking about what they want, so that I can ultimately win them over and build trust, and then start talking about what they need, I got to put it in their language. That's why I picked the term.
I love it. It's a form of fishing, I like to say, right?
Yeah, fish with the bait that catches the fish, right?
Yeah, in an attempt, in this case, to serve them, not eat them.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. The metaphor breaks down when you set the hook.
Well, dude, I love it. How can people find out more about Jeff Lerner? Where can they go? Where do you want to send them? Because they got to go check you out, dude.
I would love to send them to millionairesecrets.com/Stephen S. Stephen with a PH, last initial S. We put together a landing page just for this show appearance, but it's at millionairesecrets.com/Stephen S. And honestly, that's just so we know they came from your show, so we can thank you for the audience. And you can hear my podcasts. You can visit my YouTube channel. You can download a free book that I wrote called The Millionaire Shortcut. That's the answer.
Awesome, dude. Well, we're going to put it in the show notes to make sure it's easy for everybody to find. Or show notes. Cool. Show notes for Apple. It'll be in the description for YouTube. But make sure you check them out. Jeff Lerner, guy. Dude, love you, man. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for so much time, dude.
I'm grateful. I love you too. It's mutual. I love your audience, love your world, love your mission, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
What I tell you, an amazing story of overcoming and making things happen. Guys, if you love that interview, I know you're going to love this one right here. So make sure you check it out.
where you're going to be in 2 years or a year. You can't look at the ultimate, what I call dream goal. You got to look at your small goals and know every single day that you put in the work, you're getting that much better. And a bunch of these equals a lot.